Another Corner Booth pregame. I'm your main man and co-host Jerry Clem alongside my best friend and sidekick, Mr. Kevin Langley. We are back with another great show. This is, for those of you who just joined us for the first time, this is basically Corner Booth, but actually like we are at a bar. Today's attire has been baseball is jerseys again. Next week we're doing either Hawaiian shirts or tank tops and frat boy hats. We haven't decided yet. We'll let you guys know. It's gonna be pretty. That's gonna be the theme every week. We're always gonna have something fun. So we might do suits one night. It'll be 1 week. It might be great. But
tuxedos like in Step Brothers.
Oh my God, it'd be great. So we start gonna rap about boats and hoes though. All right. So to get things started, the first story we got first off, Kev, what are you rocking today?
I'm rocking my brand new Larry Bird jersey. I feel like such a jerk wearing a Celtics jersey or like a basketball jersey.
It's all right.
I don't have the body for this.
It's all right. And Kev's drinking his signature White Claw. Me. Shout out to Bad Sons Brewing here in Connecticut. I'm doing a little lube. This is actually a gift from my neighbors for me, basically helping them move about 3.5 dump trucks with the dirt. So, also, by the way, Ian Lowell, one of them, is a big listener of the show. So, thank you, Ian. Get rocking and rolling here. So, first off, I am wearing an D-backs All-Star jersey from the 2011 season with the patch. It is Mr. Upton. I'm not going to turn around because I really just don't care. But yeah, it's sewed in letters, whole 9 yards. So this is my only D-backs attire. It's not Paul Goldschmidt, or just a hat. So this is all I can really rock right now. But yeah, that's my dope jersey for today. Not as good as the Dawkins throwback, but still pretty cool. First off, we're talking Earl Thomas, and yes, he's one of the greatest safeties in the last 20 years. Great ball hawker. Ravens probably their best defender. If not, we're not talking Marlon Humphrey. But Kevin, my boy got in trouble last night, and the headline is Earl Thomas held at gunpoint. Now, the story gets crazy. So if you have kids in the room, please cover their ears. We're going to try to keep this PG as possible. So basically, he was caught in bed with a girl and his brother. What? And his girlfriend and 2 of her friends, or it might have been wife, I don't even know.
This is wife
with guns and knives and everything else, and basically tried to get at Earl. Earl's response was, "Stuff like this happens." That's what he posted on Instagram. Homeboy, stuff like this don't happen. Or at least it doesn't make national news, man. Like, come on.
I think the held at gunpoint would make national news. That kind of stuff happens. The stuff that doesn't happen is you get caught in bed with a woman with your brother.
I mean, like, it's like, I'm not going to go into whatever y'all want to do, man, but like, no, I'm not doing the bed. No, not my style there. But
I didn't know Earl Thomas went to Mississippi State, though.
Yeah, I'm not a Mississippi State guy. If I was going to go to any SEC school, it's LSU, baby. Or if I'm really reaching.
Brother.
What?
It's the joke because it was his brother.
That's an Alabama joke, because usually if it's Alabama, it's with their sister.
See, no, we need to break something down. So people probably think that in the South, they don't make jokes like that. That's strictly a northern thing. No, in the South, we made jokes about that. Why am I saying we? I am from Massachusetts. In the South, they make jokes about that, but they're about other states in the South. Like Alabama makes those jokes about Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi probably makes them about Alabama and Louisiana.
And they all make them about Tennessee. So there you go.
And Arkansas probably gets thrown in there too.
Yeah, but that's just where like Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones are from. That really doesn't count. They're just kind of this flat plain state where Wal-Mart started. So they were basically the birthplace of the evil empire. But
true. I love me some Walmart at 3 a.m. in Tuscaloosa.
Dude, listen, I'm not gonna front. I have been in a Walmart at 1 o'clock in the morning, but it was like in Pennsylvania after like a work camp trip or something like that.
Where in Pennsylvania though? Was it in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it was like closer to like Happy Valley, farther from Philadelphia.
Okay. Have I ever told you this story? And I know we're getting off the rails. Have I ever told you my
happy hour? We go off the rails.
So, one of my buddies, who's from the town next to me in Massachusetts, he went to Alabama, and we started talking, and we were hanging out one night, and it was getting late. And two girls we knew text us like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh, why? What you trying to do?" They're like, "Well, we have to go to Walmart, and we're want to see if you want to come." And they're like, "Damn it! All right, cool."
They need some protection, basically.
So they went and got their stuff for sale line. My friend was freaking out. He looked nervous the whole time. And this dude comes up behind us, saw the line was too long, screamed, "Man, fuck y'all," and stormed away. And I thought my friend was going to jump out of his shoes. He was terrified. And right after the dude walked away, I just started dying laughing. And that's my 3 a.m. Walmart story.
First time I ever went to a Walmart in the South. So I go in there with my crew leader and another guy. We were doing a job. You guys know, as I work as a mover during the day, and we were going down south. And basically, I think we're in Virginia. We're in Blacksburg, Virginia. Actually, we're like literally a mile from Virginia Tech's campus. And we're going to Walmart. We're like, yo, let's just get some beer. Let's get maybe a cigar. Let's just chill out, hang out. We're not leaving until like 9 a.m. So we go in there, and me and Josh, one of the guys I'm working with, we just, we go get our beer. We go get our cigars. He went and got some other things for other smoking purposes. I'm not judging. And in Virginia, it's criminal. It's really, he had to cover his butt basically in Virginia because it's a big offense down there. But so we're out there, we're, getting all provisions and, we're seeing all the cute Virginia girls because, there's just something in the water down there. And we're coming around the corner and my crew leader, because he's in the South and he's a gun nut, homeboy walks out with 3 boxes of shotgun shells on a work trip. I'm just like, win in Rome, man. Didn't even get carded. Like the lady looked at me and this other kid were like, y'all want some too? And we're like, I'm like, lady, I don't get my permit yet. Like, chill. But that's my down south stories because I went to school up north still, where basically Walmarts are just a terrifying place. They're not down hole in country like they are where Kevin went to school.
Yeah, I wonder if he tried to buy a gun, if they would have asked to see some form.
Well, he had a permit, so it wouldn't have mattered. But like driving it in a company truck across state lines, that probably would be some red flags right there.
Maybe, but also it's the South, so they might not have asked.
Well, yeah, it was Virginia, so I don't know. They're weird. Their laws are so odd down there. I swear.
Also, even if they did ask, they might not have legally been allowed to sell to them because some states they'll say like, "Oh, these states your gun permit's good here," but other states like.
Well, that's why like when I get my permit, I'm getting a Utah permit basically, so I can keep carrying my gun across state lines without getting nailed by a cop for it. So,
like if you have an Alabama permit, you probably can't buy a gun in Massachusetts. But if you have a Massachusetts permit and you go down to Alabama, they might still sell it to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because Massachusetts has like the second strictest gun laws in this country, right?
They might have the strictest for a whole state.
I thought California had the strictest because California, you can't have concealed carry, I believe, and you can't have anything over like a certain magazine cap. Or I don't even know. We're getting off topic here. We're talking Earl Thomas. Kev, dude, like, I don't even understand. Like, I get it. Like, athletes get caught cheating. It's the lifestyle. Some of these dudes fall to it. Like, it's a weird thing. And, it's a lot, like a lot of guys, you always hear about a cheating scandal at least like once every other offseason. Like some pro sports guy got nailed for it and their wife took half of their earnings and it happens. And you'd think the first guy would learn was like, oh, my wife who doesn't have a job, let me cheat on her so now she gets half of my money for me being a moron. But the best part about this is good for Earl's wife for just making it more entertaining, man. Like, I love every second of this. This girl wasn't taking crap. She probably was just like, she knew what was going on, and she's like, you know what? We're doing this my way. We're getting guns. We're going to just do the whole thing up. And I think it was just the best story I've read today.
Did you read how she caught him?
No, I didn't read that part yet.
She logged into his Snapchat.
Oh,
and saw a video on there of another woman butt naked. And it was like, okay, we're going to go find him real quick. And looked at a stat map, found him on that.
Yeah. What? Well, that's how like some frat boys get caught, like in college. Like, how? Like, dude, you were a 30-year-old man. Like, you are married. Like, no.
Also, I mean, if she has you, she logs
cheating on your wife, like, or your spouse. Like, come on, really? That's stupid. But like, anyway, like there's my morals announcement. But
yeah, cheating's all the thing. I do not get cheating at all. If you're gonna like say, oh, like I'm gonna be in a committed relationship with you, or I'm gonna get married to you, like why are you going out and
Jared has life advice. This is part of the segment apparently. But what cracks me up is like, dude, don't put it on Snap for your boys.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Like, come on.
He had a private story that she couldn't see.
That's different, but it's like even then, no, don't just like.
Like I wouldn't do that, but if I had a private story that someone couldn't see, I wouldn't care. But like if they also had my Snapchat login, I would not have that story.
If she's your wife, it's about a 50% chance she has your Snapchat login as well as she's in your private story. Like this is just screams stupid to me. And that's why I think this story is so funny. So with that in mind, me and Kev are going to talk our favorite sports scandals. Kev, do you want to go first? Because I have two.
I have two as well.
Okay, rock and roll.
Both are Alabama related.
Oh, both of mine are pro sports related, so there you go.
One, it has to be Joey Freshwater.
Joey Freshwater, second reference in 2 weeks.
For those who didn't tune in last week or haven't heard this story, Lane Kiffin, when he was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, he probably did in other places too. He would go to the bars in Tuscaloosa with his buddies or his bodyguards and would hang out in a back room and tell them, like, hey, that girl. And they would go out, tap the girl on the shoulder, like, hey, Joey Freshwater wants to talk to you in the back. And everyone knew who Joey Freshwater was after a couple times of doing this. And Lane Kiffin was married, so when this came out, it was a huge deal. And also Nick Saban, even though people like calling him the devil and hate him, he's a very religious man, so the dichotomy there was really interesting. And my other one is former Alabama coach for a couple of months, Mike Price.
Oh,
he had gotten in trouble before for some other things at Alabama, and he was hired in December 2002. A couple of months later, he went to a golf tournament, and the school paid for it because he had to be there for some reason. And they looked at his bill and saw some random woman charged $1,000 to his room for something. And then it came out rumors that he was paying for strippers on the Alabama credit card, was buying them dinner, was doing all this other stuff. Yeah, he got fired before even coaching a game.
That's just.
And then
boy, Mike Shula afterward.
To dive back to our last episode, after Mike Price, Mike Shula came in and coached.
R.I.P. to his pop, Don Shula.
Mike Shula's a horrible coach. I hate him.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, those are my two favorite sports scandals. Both Alabama coaches showing just great morals.
Yeah, so my honorable mention is the Mitchell Report. So for those of y'all who don't remember, the steroid era happened for what, 90s, early 2000s?
It was kind of dying off by the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was just like a generalization here. So the Mitchell Report was this enormous witch hunt because Bud Selig had to make a giant stink about the product that made his sport America's pastime again while the NFL was on the rise. It basically made baseball popular. The home run race, Barry Bonds, A-Rod, Roger Clemens, all these guys, Rafael Palmeiro, the list of guys who were involved in the Mitchell Report was astronomical. You know how many punishments actually came down? Like almost zero. It was just a giant stink. I remember as a kid, I was taught, cheating's wrong. In sports, of course it is. Now, as an adult, I look at it like this. I would never do steroids because I know what it does to your body. And oh my Lord, never touch it. But do I think MLB's being a bunch of sore losers about this because basically they profited off of I don't know how many years of just juiced baseball? Are you kidding me? You had a year where Luis Gonzalez hit 57 home runs and he finished in third in the NL because Barry Bonds is 73. Are you kidding me? Like, I would kill for that to happen again. Not for like the steroids, whatever, but like for that many home runs, like chicks take the long ball. So does every other baseball fan. It's just fun to watch. My favorite sports scandal though is the 2018 NFC Championship game, the pass interference that was never called. As y'all know, I hate the New Orleans Saints. I hate their whole team's culture. I think Sean Payton's a jackass. I'm happy he recovered from Corona because that's a fate I want nobody. But I love the city New Orleans, which is hysterical because I just despise their football team. Here's the craziest thing is that after that hit, I'm sitting there in my living room with my parents. We're about to go to a watch party for the Patriots-Chiefs game afterward. I am laughing hysterically. My mom's like, what's so funny? She goes, and I'm like, they didn't call it. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, Mom, they didn't call the pass interference call because they missed it. I am texting my former co-host Mark Riley about this, and he's like, why are you thinking this hysterical? I'm like, Mark, nothing makes me happier than seeing the team that just knocked my Eagles out to watch them suffer and burn like this. I literally said on the show the next morning, I want a bottle of the people of New Orleans' tears for that game because it was hysterical. And the best part about all of that is that the guy who made that hit now plays from our Eagles, Nikhil Roman-Copeland. And the best part of all of that, all of this, is that the Saints then choked it away the next year on a push-off when, by the definition of how the game was getting called, Kyle Rudolph was in no fault of an offensive pass interference. So I love seeing like a team that's been associated with Deflategate, like guys like Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram mocking opposing teams. It's great watching them just crash and burn every year in the playoffs. You know what the best part is? I don't hate Mark Ingram now. He's in Baltimore. He's hysterical now. But it's just something that takes me off. What?
I love Mark Ingram.
Oh, no. He's hysterical now with the whole Lamar Jackson thing. But the best part about it is that I love how this team, who was supposed to be the best team, the can't-miss team, I really appreciate how that team just has been crashing and burning. You know what the best part is, Kev? They could finish in third this year, and it'd be hysterical.
Yeah, I don't really know. That was because also like everything that happened after that with the league changing the rules, the refs hating the rule change, which you could tell because they
might change it back. That's the best part about this. They might even fix that again this year. So I'm like, that's awesome to me because it just shows the amount of stupidity that came to this rule and the overreaction, the boycotting the Super Bowl. And the best part about all that is, and what the fans won't acknowledge, is that the Saints had 3 more chances to put the Rams away. 3 more chances.
I mean, yeah, but after a play like that.
Well, no, but you have to because it's next play. Once it's called, you really have to understand that's it. There's no reviewing a call once the next play is gone. And the problem is the fact that the Saints dwelled on this for the rest of the game and lost. That's what made it great. And showed
that was such a deflating call, though, or non-call.
I know it's a deflating call, but it's deflating if they ended up if it was like a touchdown for the Rams. But the best part about it was the Saints still had a shot to put them away twice, and a shot to stop them, and they didn't. So at this point, I have no sympathy. I think it was hysterical, and it's still my favorite scandal because it led to the dumbest rule in NFL history, which is basically backfired.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with that. That rule was a bad rule. It was a good rule if the refs could have recognized when they made a mistake, but the refs wouldn't overturn this stuff. But also the coaches would do it for the dumbest things, like a deep ball. The cornerback would look at the receiver funny, and the coach would go, "Oh, challenge."
Yeah, and you know the thing, it was like, wasn't the success rate like less than 10% this year? It was in the single digits.
Yeah, it was so low.
One year called for Philadelphia against, I believe it was Washington or Atlanta. It was one of the first 2 games. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is great. And then I just saw coaches, because I watched on an average, I probably watch about 4 or 5 games a week, times 30, times 16 plus playoffs. It's a lot of football I watch a weekend. Minimum, maybe 10. I watch maybe up to 5 games, 6 games a weekend. I'll watch 2 at the same time. Here's the thing. I only saw it about twice or 3 times where it actually worked. Half the time I saw these coaches throw the thing, the refs were like, dude, are you kidding me? He took a step off. There was a push-off. Like, leave it alone.
Yeah, I think I agree with this rule on paper. I think it's a good rule because the idea when it was implemented was, and I hate giving the NFL credit for anything, the idea on paper was for egregious plays like this. But coaches would go, oh, we're going to try and get this overturned when it's really nothing.
Yeah, I get it. And the thing is when you really come down to it, and we're getting way too much into football strategy. We got an inspirational football story actually after this. But it's crazy to me how a rule, they overreacted so hard to a rule, and the refs basically just said, we're not doing this. It's open to too much interpretation. I think this is a credit to the refs because this could have gotten so much worse. You could have had seasons changed, like playoff games changed by this, but it just wasn't enforced at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I got to give a lot of credit to the refs here because like this could have been a lot worse.
I feel like people like complaining about how the refs wouldn't change their call regardless, but I think they made the right call more often than not. I think there were a few times they probably should have overturned it.
Yeah, there were a couple of them like, what? Like, you know, I'm using my usual screaming at the TV motion as most of my friends will observe. But at the end of the day, honestly, this could have been better served in college than it could in the pros. But I don't know. Like, I think like you can't take too much of the human element out of any sport, especially football or even baseball in this case. But positive sports story today.
Before we move on, actually, I want to bring some of these comments to attention.
Yeah. By the way, Blaine, we do look better than the Blues Brothers.
When I was in college, I'm still kind of am. I was a big kid, except my senior year when I lost like 50 pounds and then put it all back on. But I was at a frat party because I pledged a fraternity for a bit and then I hated it, so I dropped. But one kid just went around calling me, one of the actives went around calling me Bluto. It was a rush party. I had a beard and I was a bigger kid. I was just chugging whiskey. So he was like, Bluto.
So for those of y'all who know me, that's actually my favorite like comedy of all time is Animal House. So like it's Animal House, 50 feet of crap, and then it's like Blazing Saddles. But like Animal House is like still my favorite. I watch it at least twice a year. And honestly, I actually had a friend group of friends in college. Shout out to Townhouse 23. That it was basically like the Animal House. It was that bad. It was. I'm not kidding, Kev. It was the closest thing I will probably ever experience to that. And it was Animal House. And the best part is the amount of times the cops raided that house party every weekend was like too much to count. We one time had to come back 3 times in one night, and that was the best part about it. The Christmas party, like I took my sister, and her boyfriend one year, and it was insane. You know, you have like people like breaking tables, holes in walls, and you had to hide your beer because the freshmen would come after it. But you know what? That's college, man. And that's why I love Animal House. But
that Animal House might have my favorite quote in any movie ever, though. When he goes, "What over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?" It is.
He goes, "The Germans don't stop me monologuing." You're rolling.
That's my favorite line in any movie.
Oh, my favorite is the golf scene when they're out on the top of the ROTC field and one of just hits the shot and hits the horse in the butt and sends Kevin Bacon's character flying.
Oh, I also love the end of movies like Where Are They Now things like.
Oh my God,
was a U.S. senator.
And he ended up marrying the girl he basically threw in the back of his car.
Kevin Bacon's character was in Vietnam and was shot by his own
unit. And by the way, thank God that's real because I wouldn't laugh at that if I was real life. But oh my God, that intro line, I might have to watch that movie tomorrow because that's hysterical. I love it.
I might have to watch that movie tonight if I can.
I already have 3. My movie queue is back up 4. I finally started watching them again last night. So,
I mean, for those we record the podcast before this, even though this is the pregame. Jared and I were talking about Doc Ellis. Number 1 on my movie list is No, a documentary, a story of Doc Ellis's life, the man who threw a no-hitter while tripping on acid.
Then we proceed to talk about how I can barely even throw a strike while inebriated playing wiffle ball with the family, much less trying to throw a baseball in a Major League Baseball game. That's why I find the whole thing so amazing. But all right, so positive story now, as we've gone off the rails for probably the last 20 minutes. Alex Smith, Kevin, posted today on his Instagram for the man's 32nd birthday that this dude is running around in a brace. And, not like a very simple jog. Dude's doing footwork drills, throwing the football velocity. And for a man who basically his leg looked like a chewed-up steak, this is amazing. And also, Alex Smith, you feel bad for the guy. He gets kicked out of San Fran because he had no good head coaches. And then finally, by the time he got Harbaugh, got replaced by Colin Kaepernick. Gets sent to Kansas City, where who gets drafted to replace him? Patrick Mahomes. So he goes to Washington. They can't draft quarterbacks. He'll have a job forever. Gets his leg snapped by J.J. Watt. And it's the worst part of all of that is he's like one of the best guys in the sport. And the fact is now he's coming back, and hopefully he gets a shot somewhere. I would love to see him play football again. Even if it's only for like a Teddy Bridgewater thing where basically he gets a one snap. It could be a pick for all I care. But the fact is that I'm rooting for a Redskins so hard right now. It's making my Eagles blood curdle. But as a human being, I want to see this work.
Honestly, I really want to see – I don't want to see anyone struggle in the NFL outside of the AFC East or in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to see Dwayne Haskins struggle, and Ron Rivera goes to Alex Smith, and Alex Smith leads them to the playoffs.
Oh, my God, yeah. Well, also, we all know – anybody who's listening to the show knows my theories about Dwayne Haskins. For all you who don't know at home why I hate Dwayne Haskins, I think he's the worst quarterback prospect that's come out in a couple of years. Just watch his tape against Purdue 2018. Just watch his throws. His reads, and for those of you who aren't football savvy, like me or any of the guys who work here at Belly Up are, his reads are basically he takes the snap and has to read which receivers are open. He one time threw a ball staring down the guy who picked it off. I can't make this up. And that game, which was even more hilarious, is a TikTok about it. I sent to Kevin a couple weeks ago. They were interrupting Purdue's warm-ups. Ohio State was getting in their way in the tunnel. They were talking a bunch of smack. And then Purdue beat the barn doors off them. And what the best part of all this is, as I adjust myself, because my hat is annoying me now, my OCD. But the best part about all this is that they got their ass beat. And that's the best part about it. I hate Ohio State for a billion reasons. One being the Fiesta Bowl, where we got robbed of our 7th national title as a Canes fan by a BS pass interference call, which you can't tell me as a Florida State fan it's not pass interference. And on top of that, they go, the Ohio State University, a.k.a. the Inbright College of the Midwest. I do love how they produce defensive ends like a factory, because I think like Chase Young's just going to be the next one. Unfortunately, he has to play in my division, but he's going to be nasty too. But what cracks me up about Dwayne Haskins is that, Kev, I ran a faster 40 time than him as a chubby senior at Pompey High School. My stumpy little 5'10" and a half butt ran a 5 flat. Dwayne Haskins ran a 5'1". I don't know what to do, man. And that was when I was like 240 pounds of chub, man. I was even like semi in shape.
I hate how Ohio State tried to trademark the.
That's like just the biggest tool move a college could ever do.
But also, like, if any school was going to try to trademark something that dumb, it would be Ohio State.
Yes, because that's the thing. Like, if it'd be like Michigan going, oh, we're trademarking the big house. Like, you realize they call prison the big house, right?
Michigan after Ohio State filed for that and they just posted the in gray with the red background. Michigan posted a tweet. It was gold lettering with the blue background. It said of. I love how petty Michigan is and Harbaugh is.
I would love this year. I root for Michigan every year. I do. I root for Penn State every year. Because you know why? The Big Ten is the most unfortunate conference in college football. As I have one more segment I want to go to before we get out. By the way, folks, Hardcore Honey is on after us. We'll still keep going if you want to stick with us. But the one thing I hate about the Big Ten is, Kevin, you know I'm a Hurricanes fan. Everyone knows this. One thing I love about the ACC, there's always a surprise team every year who makes a run and thinks they're going to have a shot at Clemson. At least there's some parity. Every freaking year in the Big Ten, there's always 5 teams at the top, and they all get the living snot kicked out of them by Ohio State. And the worst part is, every time Ohio State goes to the Natty playoff, they get their butt kicked in by either the team of destiny at the ACC or the SEC. And it's hysterical every year. But yet the Ohio State fans act like they're an elite program. They're no better, in my opinion, than Oklahoma, who is always the 4th seed every year and then gets the living crap kicked out of them every year as well. So nothing will make me happier this year than to see Michigan or Penn State or Wisconsin or Purdue or Iowa just take a chip shot at their title hopes.
I think Ohio State's one tier ahead of Oklahoma just because they've won a national title since
they
college
also
playoff.
The softest Pac-12 team I'd ever seen.
Yeah, they still won.
I will give them that.
It doesn't matter who's on the field against you. It could be the worst team in the league. It could be the best team. If you win, you win.
I get you, but here's the thing. That Oregon team under Mark Helfrich, I watched that game from beginning to end. Because this is back, like everyone knows the whole story of me with college football. I used to just like players. So I loved Mariota in college. So I used to watch Oregon games a lot. That Oregon team was so soft. They were about as soft as this year's Packers team that got the crap kicked out of them by the Niners. It was bad. Kev, they looked like they were not even wanting to play on the field. One of the things that bugs me with teams is like, oh, this team is so good. And I'm like, what's their worst loss? How do they stop the run at any level? It really comes down to, in college or pro football, how physical you are, especially against competition from, even in college football, especially from a different conference where the SEC, ACC, and Big Ten are very physical big conferences, where the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are basically just shootout conferences. So you really see the difference when you get to the playoff when these teams like Washington, Oklahoma, and even to a certain extent Oregon get the little crap kicked out of them because they're not ready for the physicality of it.
No. And also, when I say Ohio State's in a higher tier, I don't like Ohio State. I think they have a bunch of bugs on them.
Here, there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's every other team that smoked them.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ohio State has a bunch of thugs. I think Urban Meyer's not a good person. I think it's not a good program, really. They won a national championship. The last 15, 20 years, there's not one of the top
associated with them. Like, there's always been a problem.
Yeah, and even though if you're comparing national championships, I think LSU's a better program than them in the last 10 years. I think, obviously, Alabama, Clemson. But Ohio State is never anything special to me. Yeah, they've won, but nothing sticks out in my mind about them.
One thing that always sticks out to me about Ohio State is their NFL prospects. That's one thing they do. They do produce good NFL guys. At least in the last 10 years they have.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean success in the NFL or success in college football.
We're talking to straight college football. One, it's like almost like a bonus credit. Like, how good's your program? Great. And if you want some extra bonus points, how good are your prospects when they get out? Whereas like teams like Alabama have really, hopefully Tua is like the Jalen Hurts the exception, but they really haven't produced a good quarterback since like Joe Namath. And the thing is,
they haven't had to.
Yeah, they haven't had to. They've basically been a wide receiver factory. And then on top of that, they always produce about 4 or 5 front 7 guys and a safety or 2 that are always Pro Bowlers. So that's what Nick Saban does. But when I look at like a team like Ohio State, they always have like one good player here. And now that, they've had 3 of the top defensive ends in the country come out in the last 5 years. That's cool. So I'm all up for it. But I have one last kind of bonus round thing for us before we sign off, Kev. So we were talking before about, how many live games we've been to. Apparently my experiences at ball games, from almost fighting a section of Jets fans when I was a junior in college to getting a hot chocolate dumped on me when I was like 8 years old because I had an Eagles jersey on in Giant Stadium. I have a lot of crazy stories than Kev does at ballparks. Apparently just bad news just comes to me. But I thought of this, Kevin. If you're at a ballpark, what are the 5 things you get while you're there? And of age, like we're talking now. Like when you go, let's say you and me go to an Eagles-Pats game, what are the 5 things, or like a Bama-Miami game next year when they do the Chick-fil-A kickoff, what are you ordering? What are the 5 things you order in the ball game?
Can I just get 5 beers?
No, beer, unlimited of it. There's no limit to them. You just say what 5 items you'd order. Because of course we get 5 beers, dude. I might have to watch my Hurricanes get the crap kicked out of them.
Number one's got to be beer.
Of course.
I mean, that's the obvious choice here.
Exactly.
Number 2. So I went to a couple years ago. I went to Alabama versus FSU.
That game was terrible.
No, it was great as an Alabama fan.
Was that the one where Francois got hurt like on the first play of the game?
Yeah.
Thank you, but for that, by the way, for like literally dethroning Florida State's team for the next 10 years. That game back.
But you can get Chick-fil-A at the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So Chick-fil-A, if they have it, I'm getting it.
Of course.
I'm trying to think because like
I want to say stick general here because us up in the Northeast, there's very little Chick-fil-A's. Like we get Shake Shack and stuff up here, but like try to stick general. So like, what's a food? So I'd say fried chicken and fries.
Fine, fried chicken and fries. Hopefully, it's Chick-fil-A. If I'm going to like a baseball game, but other places have like the ice cream in a helmet, that's a go-to.
Funny story about that, but I agree. Same thing. One time the Mets beat the Diamondbacks on a walk-off. I had the helmet there, and I was just so pissed off and a little drunk, and I literally just like, stomped the damn Mets hat, and it shattered in like a million pieces. And my grandparents were looking at me like, okay, we're going to get this kid home.
And then for any mixed drink that they have the same, I want to try. Like Gillette Stadium has Kettle One vodka and lemonade. I don't like it, but I have to get it to try it.
That sounds interesting. If I'm going to go vodka, Kettle One's my go-to. So
I don't love Kettle One.
It's clean. That's why I like it. It's easy to knock back.
And then I don't even know what a 5 is.
Burger.
It's like a burger, like some.
Yeah, like damn, bro, it wasn't hard.
Well, no, because like when I go to a stadium, I'll usually just get like beer and fried chicken. Just call me the 2011 Red Sox. But I don't eat like a lot of food. Popcorn. I'll get popcorn too at games a lot.
Yeah. For me, it's usually I've already had a few of these already, and usually I have some way of getting home without getting behind the wheel. Beer, of course, is one. I find literally the biggest, baddest beer I can find in the concession stand. That's what I nurse on. I probably knock out. If it's a football game, every quarter, new beer. If it's a baseball game, every 2 or 3 innings. If I'm at a baseball game, my step-grandfather, Bruce, peanuts, that's what he gets every time we go to Citi Field to watch D-backs Mets. So I'm all for the peanuts. So that's got to be number 2. Number 3, I try to get some kind of crazy sandwich. If I'm at Citi Field, they have a Reuben there that kicks ass. That's usually go-to. But like Kev said, if I really can't find anything good, you really can't screw up fried chicken and fries, or if not, a burger. Definitely some kind of sweet, usually like an ice cream or something like that. And then after that, usually I will buy a second helping of fries to just kind of chow on while I'm watching the game. That's usually my go-to. And that's usually kind of mixed in with various beers and everything else like that. That's usually I'm pretty simple when I go to a ball game. It's more or less like, what am I in the mood to eat while I'm watching? It also depends on how my team's doing. Because if my team's just smacking the daylights out of the team they're playing, it's great. I'm all for more food. If it's like last year, I went to D-backs, the D-backs Mets. It was like 9-0. Robbie Ray got lit up like a Christmas tree. And I'm sitting next to a bunch of old, like, rich Long Island guys all wearing Mets hats, shoot me dirty looks for wearing a D-backs hat, and ironically my belly up t-shirt. I'm looking at them like, my grandparents weren't here, y'all done. But it turned into me I was just eating peanuts and beer. I didn't want to eat any food. I wasn't hungry. I lost my appetite. Dimebacks played to win my appetite, basically. But that's honestly how I look at it, though. Like, it also depends on where you're going, what you're in. So I agree with the Chick-fil-A thing, Kev. Like, if I'm at City and it's hot out, I go Shake Shack because I want the shake. I want the burger. I want the fries. But, like, if I'm going to a Yankee game with friends or something like that, I'm like just buying a chicken. I'm not paying for anything more expensive. So I'll just get like chicken tenders and fries. But
I mean, you got to save that money for beer.
Exactly. And, there's only so much you can pack in your system and not die during the game. And not be like me during Jets-Eagles during the 2015 season, even though every Chip Kelly coach game maybe one of drink towels under a table. Folks, by the way, if you don't know me as an Eagles fan, we refer to the 2015 as the dark year. is the lost year, basically. It was the pre-Shady, it was the post-Shady, pre-Carson. So there was like no Eagle that like was a fan favorite. So because like LaShawn McCoy was the favorite Eagle. You also had like Jackson and Vic before that, and Brian Dawkins, and everything else. But that 1 year in 2015, we refer to that year as the lost year, because who am I going to? DeMarco Murray. I hated that guy up until he got signed to us. I was excited that we almost got Andre Johnson, because one of my favorite Hurricanes of all time. But at the same time, I'm like, he's like 35 years old at this point. Like, there's no real point for him playing for us. And we had to deal with the artist formerly known as Ryan Matthews and our new love and mascot, Mr. Darren Sproles. So that was the one, and Malcolm Jenkins, two of the guys who actually came out of that class. But everything else that Chip Kelly did was just awful. But I don't know. That was a fun Eagles game because it was just a blowout, and Jets fans during a blowout are just miserable. They are bad, especially when you're in their house. I'm sitting there, rocking the Dawkins throwback. Got a backwards Nike hat on. I've been drinking since 8 a.m. It's 4 o'clock, and I'm just like seeing double of everything. You're in college. You're being stupid. It's what happens. And this was, 2015. So, yeah, this was about to be 5 seasons ago now. And I'm sitting there watching. I'm just like, and I'm looking at these Jets fans just yelling at me, screaming at me. I see a couple Eagles fans getting thrown out for starting fights. And one of the kids I used to be friends with, I brought with me to the game. He was the most soft-spoken Eagles fan ever. He refused to get in fights. I caught the dude wearing an Andy Dalton jersey once, and I wanted to smack the daylights out of him because I'm like, you don't wear a different team's jersey on game day. That's just not acceptable. But I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, this is so much fun watching these guys who are talking smack all morning during the tailgate just suffer. But I actually have one more I found. I forgot about this topic we thought about before. I was watching tape on Andy Dalton, and everyone knows how they just he just signed with the Dallas Cowboys for 1 year. It's like what, $3-4 million was like a bargain bin deal at this point.
7.
I don't know. It's single digits. I wasn't that far off. I could have said 15 for all I know. Anyway, the best part about this is I was watching some tape on him. Andy Dalton throws a good deep ball. I did not realize this because every time I saw an Andy Dalton highlight for the last 3 years, everything I saw was him getting sacked, picked off, or getting hit as he threw. Now I'm watching all these highlights and I'm like, that's not a bad ball. That's not bad either. And the only time I've ever watched Dak Prescott throw a deep ball is it getting knocked down by Sidney Jones or getting picked off by Landon Collins and the Giants. I have a weird here's a bold prediction for you, Kev, before we let our awesome listeners go. And guys, by the way, thank you for joining us today for another amazing Corner Booth pregame. As I go for my Big Lebowski impression, Kev goes our Blues Brothers imitation today. But the best thing I loved about this is, and this is one thing I've predicted, is watch Andy Dalton compete for the starting job in Dallas. They're not paying Dak. Jerry's pissed at him for not wanting to take less money. Dude thinks he's worth $45 million. He could get placed out for a guy getting paid $7 million. And I wouldn't be surprised. Because I look at Andy Dalton, and I honestly am more afraid of Andy Dalton than I am of Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I don't think the deep ball isn't going to win Andy Dalton the job. The Cowboys aren't built on the deep ball.
No, they're an undercutting route. It's going to be different now with Mike McCarthy, though, because his system is different than what Jason Garrett was.
Well, then they better get some new receivers because Amari Cooper, yeah, he can run the deep ball, but his route running is elite. And CeeDee Lamb, again, same guy. He can go for a deep ball, but he's a good route runner. You're not just going to chuck it deep.
Yeah. Only Michael Gallup's a really on deep threat, and he has a catching problem.
So I can still see Andy Dalton competing for the job because I think he is still a good quarterback. He just
utter chaos in that locker room. It would make me so happy.
He got hung out to dry in Cincy last year.
Yeah, like, we're going to put in Ryan Finley. Really?
Yeah, like without Green, you can't really expect a guy to do well when he has not really.
And John Ross was injured, He went on IR, week 6? And he was having a great start to the season. I think he had like 4 touchdowns in 5 weeks. So it really comes down to Andy Dalton kind of got a raw deal. I wanted to see him go to New England because I think he would have done great there. But
same.
I think yeah, right. At least here, I think he could win the starting job. And he's actually You know what the worst part is? I saw this meme today and I shared it. It was about like Dak going, I'm the best quarterback in the NFL. Picture Patrick Mahomes going, nah, fam. And then it's best quarterback in the NFC. And it's Russell Wilson going, really? And it's best quarterback in my division. Carson goes, yeah, it's a good joke. And then it's like best quarterback in my own team. See Andy Dalton go, that's a good one. And it's like best quarterback for the state of Texas. Deshaun Watson going, try again, dude. And it's a list because here's the worst part. And I got yelled at by a Cowboys fan who watched us. Shout out to my boy Mike Meyer, Waterbury's finest. Here's the thing is that he yelled at me for sharing a tweet about like Dak Prescott. The stats were a little off, and I should have fact checked that before I retweeted it at 12:45 at night when I was like, come on Cinco de Mayo. I'm just hanging out with my family. The worst part about Dak Prescott is he is a great game manager. And unfortunately, because he's a Dallas Cowboys quarterback, he is made for something he's not. I rooted for Dak Prescott when he was at Mississippi State. I loved his game. I thought he was great. I thought he was fun to watch. But here's the problem. He's not the most athletic guy. Yeah, he can run a little bit. He's not slow by any means. He's a tank, too. He's a good leader. But doesn't win the playoffs. Doesn't throw a good deep ball. His accuracy tapers off when he gets in trouble. And by the end of all of it, when I look at everything down, honestly, I'm almost starting to lean on Daniel Jones over Dak Prescott in some of those categories. He's not even within the same atmosphere as Wentz. He's asking for more money.
Yeah, I mean, if Andy Dalton gets a chance to start in Dallas, he's a Pro Bowler. Best O-line in the league, good weapons, good running back. If Mike McCarthy decides he wants to move on from Dak and Jerry Jones tells Mike, like, hey, try Dalton, we're not paying Dak. Andy Dalton.
Where does Dak go after this? If Andy Dalton wins the job, where does Dak go? I think Jacksonville will be a great fit for him because I've been telling people for years I have not been sold on Gardner Minshew. It was a fun story. He's a great mascot. He basically was what if I was picturing Jacksonville as a person, it's Gardner Minshew. But here's the thing. Dude's got a bad arm, like a Colt McCoy arm. And he's not that mobile. He's elusive in the pocket, but he's not mobile. Their biggest mistake was getting rid of Nick Foles. Because that Foles to Chark combination looked deadly before he got hurt. I don't know. I think that the Jags kind of picked the wrong pony there. And now Foles goes to a worse situation in Chicago where they have an okay offensive line at best and only really one good receiver. So I don't know. I think that this is kind of a rough kind of thing for Nick Foles, the Jaguars, and everything else. But that's all I got today, man. We went on ranting for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what we do, though.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints with it. I almost enjoy this as much as, if not more than I enjoy the podcast while there's no sports.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us a chance to rant. Don't feel like you got to edit stuff out.
Yeah, we can honestly have a beer and it's not disencouraged.
Who would disencourage that?
Oh, people who really need to get their crap together and realize there's worse things in life than drinking on air. We're not a professional podcast right now. Listen, I am trying to be one, but this is basically us just having fun at this point and getting views. So, yeah, there we go. All right.
Check out the YouTube.
Go first.
What?
You have something to say. Go.
Check out the YouTube, the Corner Booth Podcast. Listen to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Corner Booth Pod.
And on Instagram as well.
At corner_booth_pod. How could you not get like Corner Booth Pod or the Corner Booth Pod? Why are
that's on Mr. Mark Riley, not on me. He's the one who set that Instagram up for us.
Mark. It's so hard to plug. You're gonna be like at corner_booth_pod.
And we still find a way to yell at him for something he did with the Corner Booth before us. I think Mark was a saint back when we were first getting this started because I was so social media unsavvy at like Instagram and all this stuff. So he got us up and running. But now you and me have been running the show for about a year now. It's crazy to think our combination started like Kev being the replacement when Mark would get called into work at Texas Roadhouse early. But yeah, honestly, follow us on Instagram. We post snippets and clips of this show and us just laughing and being hysterical. Next week, we might put up a Twitter poll for what we're going to do for our little fashion thing. Or we might just make it a surprise. We don't know yet. But I'm Jared. That's Kevin. Thank you to all the people who commented in the comments. We love reading them all. They're funny as hell. And we will see you guys next Thursday. Also, let us know if you guys want us to start going on live more. I would totally be up for it.
Yeah, I mean, if I got free time, I'll hop on here. I don't care what I'm doing.
Exactly. All right. Catch y'all later. Podcast dropping tomorrow. Peace.
Bye.